Hello, everyone. I'm Neon Blue, and I'm going to be talking to you today about WILDCARD, specifically Children of Dawn. This set is one that was submitted and has become WILDCARD eligible, meaning that you, yes, you, the ever important voter, gets to make decisions about whether or not you want this set in the format, and you're going to be voting on that. Now, I'm going to be presenting some things. Going through the commons. I'm not going to do timestamps, but we're going to start from commons, go into uncommons, and go then look at rares and mythics. This is analyzing from a constructed format. So I recommend you look at all of these things. However, rares and mythics are going to be the most relevant type of thing. So if you're in a time crunch, well, I don't know. Maybe just watch the whole video on ×2 speed then. But yeah, we're going to get into it. We're going to skim over these comments. We're going to try to go through this quickly. I'll note some things that are like flavor things that could potentially be a thing. First thing I'm going to notice as we're going to start, we're going to go in. First two common creatures we see here are gods. It depends. I understand it's probably for the favor of the set. Some people are going to like gods being at common. Some people are going to be a bit surprised by that. So that's you just gotta figure out, do you think that, you gotta, because that's gonna be something that people are gonna have feelings about. So, I think the argument would be that gods should be represented at rare or higher, but I think it's also like a flavor of this plane, and that kind of gives it some interesting texture, and it is just a creature type, so who really cares? But yeah, for me, that's one of the things that stands out is we have two commons up here, and they're both gods. Now, this 5-mana thing is not going to be relevant. Yeah, this thing is not going to be relevant. It's 5 mana. Even in a relatively good dredge deck, you're not going to be casting this and constructed for a 5/4 with a downside. What I will say though is that the Celestial Court Envoy is a reasonably priced effect. I don't think you're going to make double pip white work well in Dredge, unless you're running a lot of other white things for some reason. But this could be like an interesting sideboard thing. Cycle Treading Genius is fine. Escaping Arrow, First Strike. Okay. Yeah, so... Okay, well, Edict Etcher could be maybe something in a sideboard somewhere. Being a 3/1 for 2, especially if you're going against a relatively it being only sorcery speed though does kind of hurt, because it means you play it and then it gets removed, and then they play, or they could it being a sorcery is a notable downside. Hero's Journey, personally, we see the return of Orchestrate here, which just says exile it from your hand anytime you could cast a sorcery, and then when you next resolve a spell, you may cast it without paying its mana cost. If you're new to the format, it's not really plot, but it does not play similarly to plot, but it allows you to double spell easier, which is a format, a thing in this limited format, but we're not here to talk about limited, but we do have some Orchestrate stuff. 2 counters on a creature you control at an instant speed for 3 mana or 2 mana if you orchestrate it is interesting. Although, personally, I'd want Hero's Journey on a Saga, just the card name, and it's a big thing to give to a card like this. Immaculate Festival, okay, that's reasonable. No one artifact enchantment enters under your control. I mean, Leaping Steel Blood could be something, but it's not an enchantment or an artifact itself, so it's probably not seeing play in the affinity decks. Target artifact, enchantment, or demon. Well, it's a sorcery, so most people would rather just play Disenchant. Plague Cleansing Touch. Return target creature with mana value 2 or less from your graveyard to the... That's actually kind of cool. I don't think it's going to see play. It's 3 mana, but it cantripping Unearth, kind of. Target creature you control gets +2/+2 until end of turn. When you next gain 3 or more life this turn, draw a card. I imagine this wants to go on something with lifelink, but I mean, this could be something, but I doubt it. Unless there's like some kind of life gainy Voltron style Boggles deck, but I don't know. Okay, Rabbit style Infiltrator is interesting. Anything with Flash is theoretically like anything that's on rate with Flash is theoretically, but this just taps something down. Um, I mean, this is an annoying tempo play because this can tap lands down. So your opponent goes untap. You go on your upkeep. I'm going to tap down one of your lands, and then you have a 2/1. They probably, get hosed. So it's this has the potential to actually be annoying. Relic Scavenger enters. Return an artifact or enchantment card from your graveyard to your hand. 2 mana. This is pretty strong, but I feel like this is like reasonable. I mean, at a common though, this seems pretty good, especially if there are like artifacts and enchantments that sack themselves. This seems pretty good. Satrap's Dominion. When it enters, make 2 1/1s, and you can exile it to return. Okay, I mean that's fine if you want to play a sorcery speed. Raise the alarm. I mean, it's fine. It's also a enchantment that has a strong ETB. So theoretically, we see this stuff with like Order Module. You could like flicker it or even like Chronicles of the Kitsune. I don't think this is going to beat out either of those, but this is certainly a consideration. When it enters, you may exile a creature card from your graveyard if you do make a weapon token. Oh, I mean, okay. I imagine this is just a limited dredge thing. When Taker of the Crown deals damage to a creature, if its might is 4 or greater, exile a creature. Your might is the total. What? Might 1. This increases your might by 1 while you control it. If a source. So might is just like. Okay, I see. Interesting. I mean, the might mechanic, basically what it is while you have permanents with might on the field, they contribute to, they're like, yeah, so it's not really devotion because you have to have things that say might on the field. So your might is just the combined total of all of the permanents with might on the battlefield. And they're only on styles, apparently, which is an interesting subtype. So that's something to consider. But yeah, might is certainly interesting. We see this here, where this lifelink thing also gets pseudo death, gets exile death touch if you have high might, and we see might over here where, yeah, an enchanted creature is going to get bigger based on the size of your might. This is the first time I'm seeing it though in white, so I wonder if we're going to see more at higher rarities. The density here is definitely a concern for me. When it enters, prevent all damage that would be dealt to target creature or planeswalker this turn. When it enters, giving this orchestrate makes it like reasonable. You orchestrate this, and then you cast an instant on your next turn, and you prevent that damage theoretically. But it is orchestrated, so there is that level of having to sort of predict where, or sort of in advance, orchestrate this and be like, you want to cast Lightning Bolt to target my thing? You want to swing in? I guess it's just more of a combat thing, but this really can, this can really be annoying if you're just playing this and then you're looking at your opponent and you're like, you want to cast Lightning Bolt, and they have to awkwardly wait for you to tap down. This is weird, but it's also like a 1/1. I don't know how playable it is, but if it is playable and constructed against like red decks, this is probably like really, really annoying. Um, I like the idea here. I just wish it like cost slightly more and slow flickered instead. I feel like that's more of a well, even if it did slow, this is weird. This is definitely weird with like damage based removal. Um, yeah, if it was combat damage, I think it would be closer to fine. Voice of the Sun. Whenever an enchantment you control dies, but a +1/+1 counter on Voice of the Sun, you gain 2 life. Okay, interesting using dies here as a. Some people are gonna like that. Some people are gonna hate that. But dies just means because in my brain creatures die, but dies is just a keyword that means from the battlefield to your graveyard. Put from the battlefield to your graveyard. So even if it's like so, anytime a creature would die, an enchantment would also die. But yeah, gaining 2 life is kind of significant. If there are like enchantment tokens in the format, like that are at some sort of regularity that you're gonna actually be able to sacrifice a bunch, and then this kind of gets out of hand with, gaining 2 life because you're gonna be able to just like stack a bunch of triggers. Theoretically, I'm not gonna say that this is a problem. I don't know. I don't think there are in the format. I don't think there are a lot of ways to make a ton of enchantment tokens. I know that there are enchantment tokens, obviously, but I don't think there's not a consistent enough way to like get this to get huge and then make you like. But 2 life is definitely a big number to put on here. Weight of Legacy. Okay. Okay. I mean, yeah, this is a pacifism. This is limited. I'm not even going to try to pronounce this. We're on the blue cards. Whenever you cast a spell from exile, put a +1/+1 counter on it. That's cool. That's 4 mana though, so probably not. Okay, new keyword. Shikari. When you attack with an enchanted creature and an equipped creature, begin the wild hunt. Cool. I don't know what that means. I'll come back. I gotta go look at tokens now, apparently. The wild hunt? What? I don't know what the hell the wild hunt is. Yeah, I don't know what that means. I'll let y'all know. Enchanted creature and when enchanted and equipped creature, you begin the wild hunt. In blue? Wild, that's a blue mechanic. I guess it's fine. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. I guess both would be in blue, but it's just kind of like, I don't know what the wild hunt is, but it's not. Why is it wild with a Y? Whatever. That's a me thing. If you like Ys, then this is this is the set you should vote for. When it deals combat damage to an opponent, scry 1. Then if you've begun so I imagine it's like the City's Blessing, where if you achieve it, you just have it for the rest of the game as long as you control a permanent with like Ascend. Okay, that's fine. I worried there was like some kind of dungeon or something. So I guess that's relatively simple. Yeah, actually, I kind of like that. I just haven't seen support for this keyword yet. So, yeah. Okay, Astral Guidance. Return target creature to its owner's hand. If you controlled it, draw a card. That's, pretty good. It's a sorcery, though. So, but you can orchestrate it, so you can cast it in instant speed. I like this. This is cool. This is interesting. It lets you get some value to save your own thing and then draw a card. It's cool. Okay, so we've got Hanamura's academic method. You draw 2 cards. You orchestrate it. You can orchestrate it by returning a land you control to its hand. So you're theoretically, in theory, drawing 2 cards for 1 mana, and the cost is that you bounce a land to your hand. So if you think about it, it's kind of an ancestral recall because you're putting the land into your hand, and that's like drawing a card. Not really, but I mean, I don't love this. I feel like if you're gonna play this card, it's gonna be you're gonna use the orchestrate mode, and you're gonna do it like kind of unfairly or like in a way that's because here's the thing too is that this orchestrate being a downside is not true. You can just pay the orchestrate cost if you are like sort of late game. You tap a land for blue, bounce a land to your hand, replay that land. Now you are drawing 2 cards for free if you don't need to make a land drop. Yeah, I mean, this just screams like a dangerous card for like a control deck. I don't love this. I think this card is a little bit. I think that orchestrate cost is scary personally, but you're not. I'm not the one. I am voting, but I'm not the one voting for you. You decide if you think that's cool. So don't let me yap it and change your mind. If you think that was cool, you looked at that and you said, "Fuck yeah." That's what you got to do. When a quick creature attacks, if you control 3 or more mountains, up to 2 target creatures can't block this turn. Draw a card if you discard a card. Fine. That's just kind of a normal. Okay, but it's also like weird color hosing. But I mean, that's. Well, not color hosing, sorry. You want to be in red for this. Interesting. Lightning draw. 1/1. Okay, and you can save the creature. That's chill. Magistrate's Acuity. Enters, look at the top 3 cards of your library, put them back in any order. Enchanted creature can be blocked. Okay, I kind of like that. That's cool. Yeah, I mean, that's cool. Manifestation of Winter. When it enters, tap target creature an opponent controls. If you control 3 or more planes. Interesting. So we're doing that. That's 5 mana. It doesn't really matter. Nameless Nemesis enters with 2+1/+1 counters on it. If it wasn't cast from your hand. Interesting. So you can orchestrate it, and then it becomes a 3/4 flying. I mean, it's not that great. For constructed, it's fine. It's a fine limited cool card. Perfect Evasion. Target creature control gains protection from target player until end of turn. Interesting. I think this is a little. The art feels Yu-Gi-Oh. I'm just gonna say it. The art feels very Yu-Gi-Oh. So I mean, that's just an observation. I think this is like the best blossoming. It's not blossoming defense, but it's the best like. This feels like the best protection spell in like a prowess deck because you just also get the upside of now you can't block it. Now it can't be damaged. This card feels as also just like removes auras from it if someone does that. So if you get pacifism, you can just nuh-uh. So I mean this card I feel like is maybe a bit pushed, perhaps. I feel like I would love it at 2 mana, but 1 mana seems questionable. Counter target spell when you next cast this. What? Okay, no, this is this borders on questionable. I don't think it's better than like. I don't think it's better than what is it called? I'm gonna pull it up. MSC of Instigator. Cost 1 UU. Nope. Cost. Yeah, they're not gonna recognize that. Unraveling. Yeah, it's not better than Unraveling, I don't think, but just being able to cantrip a cancel, always a red flag to me, but it's also probably not playable, so it's fine. When it enters, counter target spell unless its controller pays 2 for a 4. I mean, that's fine. I think a little bit scary, but It's 4 mana, probably in the realm of safe, even for like a flash deck like this. Although being able to flicker this is potentially scary. When it enters, create a weapon token. Sorry, I got interrupted, got cut off midway. It is what it is. We're gonna have to go fucking do some editing and merge 2 videos together. Womp womp. But yeah, we're one take Randall. So fuck it, we ball. Yeah, Sky's Crystal, whatever, Requilarian is fine. Stargrace Confidant. I don't feel like blue gets 1 mana 2/2s, personally, but, you know, I mean, maybe it's on flavor because Orchestrate. Water Dragon Master. Okay, Wild Hunt. As long as you begin the Wild Hunt, it gets a boast and can't be blocked. So, above stat. Okay. Yeah. I mean, if you're okay with 2/2s in blue, that's for 1 mana. That is certainly something. I personally don't like this card. I don't like the idea of even it just being a 1 mana, like 1/2. I don't know if blue gets that. Does blue get that? I think blue gets that. I think I'm making something out of nothing. And the Wild Hunt is a significant hurdle that it being a 2/2 is fine. I just don't like Stargrace Confidant. I feel like that's that kind of is a color break or a pie break in my opinion. I don't think I just don't think that is I don't agree personally, but you could view it as like a sort of something with like suspend, but all right. Word of Dissolution. Put target creature or planeswalker on top of its owner's library. If you control 3 or more swamps, that player puts a card from their hands on top of their library. Then shuffles. Okay, so like blue discard, kind of. But you have to have swamps, so it kind of works. Yeah, okay. I mean, that's fine. It's not anything crazy. We're not going to see it in Constructed, I don't think. Council of Masks. When Council of Masks attacks or blocks, it gets +X/+X until end of turn, where X is the number of enchantments you control. If it's attacking, you control 3 or more mountains, it deals X damage to defending player. Okay. Alright, interesting. Might 1. Okay, we're seeing more of Might. This increases your 1 by 1. When Dead Man's Grasp enters, it deals damage equal to your Might to up to 1 target creature or planeswalker. And you can sacrifice it to exile target card from your graveyard. Oh, and it's not an aura, so you can just have, okay. It deals damage equal to your Might up to 1 target creature or planeswalker. So it's real bad early. It doesn't really, okay. It's bad early, good late, if you have a lot of Might. Can't go face. So, yeah, I mean, it's something. It seems a little bit weak to me, but it's also a common, so whatever. Death of Obsidian Butterflies. Target opponent sacrifices a creature. If Death of Obsidian Butterflies wasn't cast from your hand, that player also sacrifices an enchantment that wasn't enchanting that creature. In your hand, that player also... Okay, so yeah, you can't just sacrifice the... Weird. For sure, that's fine. Orchestrate costs 1 less... Orchestrate cost you pay cost 1 less. It would not be 2 pay, I don't think. I think it just would cost 1 less. Whenever you cast a spell from exile... This is a weird common. This is an odd common, in my opinion. Orchestrate costs are already, like, considered cheaper, so you're just sort of, like, cheating stuff out, like, a lot earlier. But, yeah. Eminent Mistforged Arsenal. Target creature gets +1/+1 and gains lifelink until end of turn. If Eminent Mistforged Arsenal wasn't cast from your hand, Um, so you can orchestrate. You either give something a little boost or a big boost for 5 mana, but it's orchestrated. For a circle binding, scary with flashbacks, scary with madness stuff. So like, my brain goes to like Distant Thunder, not Distant Thunder. Sorry. Good Lord, Fiery Temper and Civilization's cost. And you run like a aggressive deck with like a big 5/5. It doesn't have flying or trample or anything. It doesn't have any evasion, so it's just a big vanilla body. I think that's fine. I think we see stuff like Rotting Regisaur, and it's okay. Crazy at common though, I will say. Personally, that's kind of crazy. Target player discards 2 cards. So a pipped Mind Rot that mills you 6 cards. I mean, okay. There's a lot of stuff in this limited that makes sense. Death Touch Lifelink. When it enters, you draw a card and lose a life. Okay, we fuck. Well, having Death Touch is a little scary, but also it's not like the 3 mana. There's one of these that gets played. I think it's like Phyrexian Obliterator or something. It's not Phyrexian Obliterator. It's a Phyrexian something. It's a 2/2. It enters. It does this. But it doesn't have Death Touch Lifelink. And having Death Touch can be scary, but it's also 3 mana, and there's just better, like, there's better Wall of Omen type effects that we don't really need this. Head Taker Juggernaut, okay. It costs 4 less if your might is 4 or greater. I'm really not seeing a lot of ways to get your might down at common. I'm not going to lie. That seems hard. Heroes act, villains react. I thought it was always the other way around. Huh. Destroy target creature or land when you do the next spell you cast. When you next cast a spell this turn, create 2/1/1 black skeleton creature tokens. So you blow up a land or a creature for 5 mana, and you get 2 guys. If you follow it up. Weird. Okay. Okay. We got a mana dork in black. Interesting. That's fine. Okay, we've got some more might. Might stuff. Might 2. Ooh. When it enters, you may mill X cards, and each opponent loses X life, where X is your might. When you do, you control 3 or more planes, but a stun counter on each of up to X target creatures. So you don't get a body. You're paying 4 mana to do 2 to your opponent's face and mill 2 cards. And if you have 3 planes, you can put a stun counter on 2 creatures. I do not like how swingy this card is, personally. I think that's a problem with like a lot of the might cards that I'm seeing, is that it sort of doesn't really, I don't like the abilities just seem weak in a way that, like, at least with like devotion stuff, typically you're getting if you do have a lot of pips, you're still getting like access to a reasonable okay body, and everything contributes to devotion. Might is very parasitic in that way, and I don't know. I'll have to look at more might cards. But right now I'm not feeling might, personally. But hey, I'm not you. You're not me. You like might? Fucking ball with it. Ain't that the truth? Alright, okay, we got another might thing. Single point Shining into the Void. When it enters, it deals damage equal to your might to each opponent, and you gain life. Okay, so this kind of does the same thing as the last one. But it's 3 mana, and you gain life instead of milling cards and stunning creatures. I mean, it's more justifiable to drain 2 for 3 mana, but it's still not like you're contributing to the board. When it enters, each opponent loses 5 life and you gain 5 life. Wow. Okay, that's pretty cool. Big ass creature. I mean, it's a demon. It is what it is. Sunblade Saboteur. When it enters, return target enchantment card with mana value 2 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. Okay, that can be cool. I wonder if there's a way to go infinite with this. Like, hold on. Hold your mother freaking horses, y'all. I'm gonna do some research. Can I go infinite with this? Common. Meta value less than 3. Ugh. Type. So, I mean, you can go this with Binding Stones plus a sack outlet equals infinite ETBs. Yeah, this is sort of a thing where it's like if you have a way to sack, if you have a way to sack a Binding Stones, like sack enchantments, you can just sort of get infinite ETB. That's not a lot. That's still a 3-piece combo. That's not that crazy. But there is some amount of combo potential with this card. It's not anything like Pod Watcher. I don't think we have to be worried about it, but it is something to note. It is a thing for maybe like Commander players. I don't know. Mill 3 cards. When you do, return up to 1 target creature and enchantment from among them to your hand. That is so chill. Oh, leaking DMs. I meant to open this. Yeah. I mean, that's fine. Void Circle, Spellweaver. Second spell each turn gets bigger. Cool. Diplomatic Deployment. This looks like a Warhammer thing. No, don't ignore me. That has nothing to do with anything. Make 3 guys! Oh my gosh. When you next cast a non-creature spell, this turn, untap those tokens, they gain haste until end of turn. Why are we untapping them? They don't enter tapped. And you have to keep track of those. I mean, okay. I don't understand why we're untapping them, though. Maybe they, like, enter tapped because of something? I have no idea. Dreaming Pearl Dancer. As long as you control 3 or more planes, Dreaming Pearl Dancer has first strike and vigilance. Chill. When Dreaming Pearl Dancer enters, exile the top 4 cards of your library. You may cast up to 1 non-creature, non-land card from among them until end of turn. Yeah, I mean that's cool. Till your next turn? Okay. Sort of like a weird, like, yeah. I mean, this card's fine. Fire Dragon Style. Flash. Fire Dragon Style and its abilities can't be countered. Interesting. When it enters, it deals damage equal to your might to any target. So you ping something for 1 if this is the first might thing you play. It's not like it gets bigger over time. That's the thing that just... There's like been one good might thing that I've seen. And that's the 1 mana one that grows. But all of these might things don't grow as your might gets bigger. They do one thing based on how big your might is at that time. I feel like I would like might a lot better if it was like... This creature gets plus X plus O, where X is equal to your might. And you can sacrifice it. Or you could sacrifice it to deal damage equal to your might. I don't know. Might 1, just everything being bad until they're insane is just like, I don't know. Not here for it. Whenever you create a non-creature token, it gets +1/+1 until end of turn. Oh, okay. Okay. That's interesting. So, I immediately think of this thing in Strong Arm. Because it turns a 1 mana spell into Prowess, so +3, +4. So you're giving this thing +4, +3, and Trample for 1 mana. I mean, that's not crazy, but also, you're also getting a treasure. Seems interesting. It's 2 mana. I doubt it'll see play in any Prowess decks, because it's competing with, like, Autumn Fae and, you know, the crystallized thing, or Heartfire Immolator, or that's not what it's called. Oh, you know, someone will tell me. All right, we've got more Shirkari. As long as you begun the Wild Hunt, Flame Wheel Hunter has Trample and Reach. Okay, that's fine. As long as it's your turn and you've begun the Wild Hunt, Ghost Bane Auxiliaries gets +2/+0. Okay, more Wild Hunt stuff. Enchant creature, when it enters, creatures without flying can't block this turn, gets +2/+2. That's fine. I like that, actually. But it's just a limited card. Immaculate Weapons Master, enters, make a weapon. Okay, Kingdom Shattering Fist, Might 3. When it enters, it deals damage equal to your might to up to one target creature. Destroy each equipment attached to it. So, all of your might stuff have just been, like, bad removal unless you have a ton of might stuff. And that's, like, I would like to see more variation in design. It feels very one note. It's like, well, my thing does the thing once and then stops. Lapidara Dragon Lord. When it enters, put a stun counter on each land and target opponent. Really? At common? Oh, I don't know. This card seems like doesn't really feel red. I'm not gonna lie. I understand it's like red gets mass land destruction. This just doesn't feel this feels weird. Feels weird in a way that I don't really jive with. This is, why are we doing that? That doesn't seem, especially if you start to flicker this. Oh my god. Wow. Yeah, I mean it's not gonna be constructed playable, but good god, the limited feels concerning. Tagging creatures you control get +0/+0 and +1/+0, gain first strike until end of turn. Okay, that's cool. Well, actually, I don't know if that's cool, because you just turn a combat into completely one-sided out of nowhere. This has the potential to be like a 4-for-1 if your opponent is like trading, which doesn't seem like this is also, it boosts the power too. So yeah, you're spending way too little mana to completely just like obliterate your opponent. If this was sorcery, it'd be fine. It'd be bad if it was a sorcery, but this is like, I don't know, because you can just take a bunch of traits and then on your opponent's turn, just like, yeah, this seems wholly unfun. Yeah. Red Jade Head Carvers. Whenever equipped creature deals combat damage to an opponent, put a +1/+1 counter on it. Okay. Equipped creature gains double strike. Okay, I fuck with this. This is cool. Yeah, you get big and then hit for big. Shirkari. Okay. Tap. It deals 1 damage to target player. If you've begun the Wild Hunt, it deals 1 damage to any target. I mean, it's fine. So it does 2 damage total if you begun the Wild Hunt. That's an important thing to note. You can hit a creature in face or a planeswalker in face, or you can just hit double both into face. Sledgehammer Style Fist. Another style. A creature gets +0/+. So this is a style design that I like. This feels like leagues above better than all the other style stuff, because it's not just like, oh, you ping something for 5 mana, or your opponent is drained some life. It's like, this actively gives evasion, is already good, +2/+0, and menace. Yeah, I mean, this might be a little pushed even in that direction, where if you get to like might 5, you've given +5/+0 and evasion. So potentially scary, especially with how much removal you have in this sort of might style deck. And we've already seen something like this in white. But this is fine. Summoning the Loyal Steed. Exile the top card of your library. You may play it this turn, make a weapon. Okay, that's fine. It's a cantrip. Non-creature spells cost 1 less to cast. That's so chill. It's 3 mana. Each creature you control that's enchanted or equipped gets +3/+0 until end of turn. Okay. Okay. That's cool. Privateer as a 1/2 with haste and ward, pay 3 life. Fine. That's fine. Um, sorry if you can hear my dog. He's not happy that someone is, lives across the street from us, which is crazy. Wave Clear Corsair. Shikari. When you attack with an enchanted creature and an equipped creature, you begin the Wild Hunt. Deals combat damage to an opponent. If you've begun the hunt, add 3 to your mana pool. Okay. I mean, it's fine if you're making that Wild Hunt deck. Avenger of Souls. Avenger of Souls gets +2/+2 as long as you own 5 or more creature cards in exile and in your graveyard. So it's a 6/6 for 5 if you have condition met. Sure. Whenever it attacks, put a +1/+1 counter on another target attacking creature you control. Seems fine for a common. Flash. When Blink enters, create a weapon token. When you do, you may attach it to another target creature you control. Yeah, this having Flash does make it significant, and you can win combat by buffing a thing a little bit and then blocking. But this is interesting. This is fine. I don't think it's going to be crazy or anything. I'm really confused by the aesthetics of this set. Because we have, determinedly, Asian-esque here with what looks like a lightsaber. Definitely Asian-inspired here. A lot of the green cards feel sort of Asian-esque or sort of inspired of that Japanese, Chinese type martial arts style. And then when we go to Reunite the Circle, Memories of the First Age, even Unseen Screams of Revelation all have European vibes to them. I just am not seeing a consistent. We have pirates here. We have Rune Terra or whatever this is here. We have. I don't see a consistent stylized. Because we have decidedly medieval Renaissance era armor, and then over here we have chi and pirates, and this is even a different time period, and I don't feel like there is a consistent aesthetic here, which I would like to see. I'd like to see at least and I understand there are just sometimes standouts, but I couldn't this Perfect Evasion. I talked about it earlier. It just feels like it's you're oh, this is art that could be on a Magic card, not this is art that exists in my world. Because why does she have a lightsaber? I don't know. Personally, I don't know. Anyways, Dragon's Blood Inheritance, Flash, enchant creature. It gets big. If you control 3 or more mountains, it gets bigger. Okay. Fate Shredded Wanderer. It enters. You put a basic land from your hand onto the battlefield tapped. Then you control 3 or more islands. You draw a card. Fine. Enchanted creature enters. Destroy target artifact or enchantment, and it gives you a thing. I mean, that's cool. Theoretically playable in I guess a Ogle's deck, or some kind of infect deck, if you want to get rid of something or have excuse me, answers for things that would affect you. Wow, Nathan, incredible. House Pila Vanguard. Okay, we got some Warhammer. Shikari, and even the name Shikari. So we have something. We have 2 keywords. One of them is named Shikari. One of them is named Wild Hunt with a Y. I don't know. Why did you put a Y in there? I don't get it. I don't get it. Because it seems like you have the same you have the same, like, it's the same keyword. Shikari is related to the Wild Hunt, but the Wild Hunt is clearly, like, this is supposed to be dialectically stylized in a way that doesn't make sense. I don't understand. I don't understand what. I don't know. I don't get it. I am baffled by a few of these flavor decisions. I'm not going to lie. You know what? Fuck it. This is my review. I can say what I want. I'll say my feelings. That's why you need to vote. If you disagree with me vehemently and are gripping, it's more reason to vote. Anyways, okay, it gets a counter if you've begun the Wild Hunt. Okay. Elemental Cleric. When it enters, you gain 2 life. If you begin the Wild Hunt, you make it 2/2. White God token. A token god? Okay, I feel like we're getting a little bit interesting. Keeper of the 3 Rivers. I'm assuming there is supposed to be some sort of Asian like mythology behind the set, considering the name of the keyword. And I'm going to assume this is like the thing in is it Hinduism? I don't know, but it's an Asian religion that fundamentally believes that like just I guess that there are a lot of gods. I'm not trying to remember what it is, but it's like everything like has a god over it or something. I don't know. But I guess that's why there's like so many gods at common. As a creature enters under your control, you can pay blank. If you do, you can pay 2 and a green. If you do, exile it and from your graveyard. If you do, that creature enters with 3 counters on it. Okay, I mean that's the dredge thing, I suppose. Memories of the First Age. As an additional cost to cast a spell, return a permanent you control to its owner's hand. Target creature you control gains hexproof and indestructible until end of turn. I don't know why it needs that additional cost. You can just do hexproof and indestructible for a green. I guess it's supposed to go with something where it's like you'll flicker one of your might things or whatever. Reunite the Circle. Reveal the top 5 cards of your library. Put up to 2 aura, equipment, and or creature cards from among them into your hand and the rest into your graveyard. That's fine. Sorcery speed. Whenever it enters, if you control 3 or more planes, make it 2/2. Okay? Whenever another creature you control dies, you gain 2 life. Chill. That's fine. Unseen Screams Revelations. Search your library for a basic land card, put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle. Then if you control 3 or more swamps, you may return a creature or land card from your graveyard to your hand. That's probably fine. Witches of... I'm not even going to try to pronounce that. Because, like, this is my point, right? This does not feel... I don't know. Death Touch. You get 3 life if you discard a card. Okay, that's fine. Wood Dragon Outrider gets Wild Hunt. Wood Dragon Outrider has Ward 2 as long as you've begun the Wild Hunt. Sure, that's fine. Imperial Decree. You get mana fixing, and you can sack it to exile target non-elemental creature. Okay. Shining Heartstone, Manolith, and you can add 2. But it cares about artifacts specifically. Okay. Tomb Guard Automata. Excuse me. Exile target card from a graveyard. So just sort of answers for... Alright, we're done with the commons. We'll see if the set can redeem itself in the home stretch. Currently, there's a lot of flavor things that I do not vibe with. I feel like the flavor is inconsistent. The flavor is inconsistent. A lot of these mechanics feel very like 2 of these mechanics, both Might and the Wild Hunt, feel like relatively parasitic and in a way that I don't really like. Like Might is very directly parasitic. You can only run might cards with cards from this set, and Wild Hunt only trigger when you have other Wild Hunt stuff. So a few red flags. Generally speaking, some of these designs are fine. Some of these don't feel like commons. In fact, a lot of these don't feel like commons. A lot of these feel pushed. This card, I think is fucking broken. This card seems broken. Harmonious Academic Method is a crazy card. It can be free if you don't care about like going up mana. And there's just like this feels like at least an uncommon, if not a rare. I don't know why. It just feels like this is explosive. There's a bunch of like really above rate stuff, even in colors that don't usually get that. Like there's like blue. There's a lot of really like reasonable blue stuff. Like this Stargrace Confidant being a 1-mana 2/2 in blue just doesn't feel blue. That is not. But we're gonna go to uncommons now. Enough of me yapping. All right. Aldibani Sky Knight. It's a human archer knight. It's a 2/1 flying, and you can return it to its owner's hand to put a counter on another target creature. Ooh, excuse me. Notably, instant speed, so you can save this Sky Knight from dying by just getting a counter on a creature. Ancestral Thaumaturge, 3/2. You can exile a creature card with mana value 2 or less from your graveyard and create a token copy of it, except it has no mana cost and it's a spirit. Sure. Search your library for an artifact or enchantment card, reveal it, then... okay, this is repeatable, though, which is maybe something that's scary. Search your library for an artifact or enchantment card, reveal it, shuffle, then put that card on top. If it has a subtype, draw a card. Okay, so, like... yeah, you get to, have an instant speed enchantment tutor, and if it's like an aura or a style, you get to put it into your hand. Excuse me. It's pretty cool. Hammer on iron. Interesting. Whenever you gain life, scry 1 and put a flurry counter on it. Remove it 7 from it and sacrifice it. Creatures you control get you get it over 1, but you have to have gained 7 instances of life to get there. Celestial Legacy. Enchant creature. Enchanted creature gets +2/+2 and can't be blocked by tokens. And sure, whenever it's put into your graveyard, return it to your hand. So, this is weird Rancor. It's fine. Corvus Style Insurgent. When it enters, return up to 1 target enchantment you control to its overall orders. I imagine you do something with Might here to like flicker. You sack it to return an enchantment card from your graveyard to your hand. Okay, that's fine. It's just very, very, very directly a might thing. It seems here. Dawn Cast Armiger. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, it gets +1/+0 until end of turn. And if you spent red to cast the spell, it gains first strike until end of turn. Oh, okay. Sure. So, like, weird white prowess thing. I get it. Gatekeeper of Heaven. When Gatekeeper of Heaven enters, if you own 5 or more creature cards and exile into your graveyard, exile target non-god creature or planeswalker until Gravekeeper. Okay, so we've got a, O-ring that's on a good statted body. Or Banisher Priest on a reasonable statted body for 4 mana. This is fine. Yeah, I don't know that this even sees play, to be honest. A creature gets +3/+0 until end of turn. Activate only once each turn. This ability costs 1 less to activate for each other artifact and enchantment you control. Oh! This is not... activate only once each turn. Thank God. I was about to say, if you could just go like, oh, I have 5 artifacts. I'm going to pay 3 mana and give this +9/+9 until end of turn. Very scary. Especially with something like... I think this is fine, being rate limited to once a turn. I'm not even really worried about it. This card's fine. Probably even not constructed playable. Landland Architect, protected from unenchanted, unequipped creatures, and you can orchestrate it for off color. Okay, well not you can orchestrate it for 1 white, blue. Fine, it's fine. It's a bit expensive for what is essentially a 2/2 that probably can't be blocked. Yeah. When it enters, return target creature card. Excuse me. I woke up a couple hours ago, so that's why I'm so yawning. When it enters, return target creature with mana value 2 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. Exile Lord of the First Hunt from your graveyard. Reveal the top 5 cards of your library. Put a creature card from among them into your graveyard. Yeah. Well, hold on. Mana value 2 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield? I don't think there's a way. You used to be would have been able to go infinite with this with old version of the flicker creature. I'm trying to remember their name. Aethermancer's Familiar, and then a sack outlet. You would have been able to go infinite with this, but Gabagool. I think a cast trigger would be safe on this, honestly. But that's just me. Auricolum Metallurge. Okay. Vigilance. Exile up to 1 target card from a graveyard. Create a weapon token. Okay. And then equip creatures. I mean, that's fine. It's 5 mana. We're not going to see it in constructed. Whenever Celestial Order attacks, tap target creature. Fine. Solar Charm. Double pipped uncommon. Choose 1. Exile target artifact. Target creature gets +1/+1 for each enchantment you control and gains lifelink until end of turn. Each player puts the top 3 cards from their hand on the bottom of their library in any order and draws that many cards. That I don't feel like is white. That last mode does not feel white. Personally, that doesn't seem just being able to just that much card selection. I don't know. Don't really think it's white personally, but well, it's each player. Never mind. It's fine. Yeah, I mean it's fine. I guess it blows up an artifact. That's its best mode. Steel Devil Duelist, double strike. Whenever you cast an enchantment spell, you pay white. If you do, draw a card and put a +1/+1 counter on Steel Devil Duelist. I mean, just comparing this to Pure Steel Paladin, which is a very good card. Make no mistake. But also kind of really bad. Paying double pipped whites in an... No, this is... This costs too much to be playable. Personally. Steel Shaper Adept. It has first strike during your turn. If a source would deal non-combat damage to you or it, prevent 3 of that damage. Whenever it deals damage to an opponent, that player sacrifices an artifact or enchantment. Cool. Yeah, I mean, it's fine. Yeah, I think it's fine. Thunderhammer Fist, Might 1. Whenever a creature with toughness less than or equal to your might attacks you, remove it from combat unless its controller pays 1. Oh my gosh, we're removing things from combat. Interesting. So this is... How do I say this? This is what we call slightly cheaper, but just bad propaganda. Propaganda is probably better than this card. We have a couple versions of Propaganda in MSEM, and yeah, I mean, there's no, I don't think there's ever a reason to play this card, even in a Might deck. You just rather have Propaganda automatically hit everything, and then have like, yeah, no, I don't think Thumber Hammer Fist is the way to go here. I don't think even this deck wants Propaganda that badly. Most of your Might stuff just kills things. So why are we doing Propaganda? We just can remove things from the battlefield instead of worrying about being attacked. Dakalave Duelist. It costs 2 less to cast for each orchestrated card you own in exile, which is probably going to be 1. This is just going to cast 5 for a 5/5 with flash. Don't get me wrong, that's good, but I mean, it's fine. I mean, if you do this in advance too, you can probably like get it down to like costing what? 3 mana, and that's really good. I mean, it's not uncommon. It's fine. Orchestrate. When it enters, add colorless, colorless, colorless. You can't spend this mana to cast spells, but you can pay orchestrate costs if you want. It's interesting. Yeah, I mean, it's fine. It's potentially scary. Like, you could, in my brain, it's like you could storm off with this. You go orchestrate this, then you get the money back, then you use it to cast more orchestrate spells. But it's colorless mana, so it's probably fine. Fleet Command Authority, enter. Enchanted creature has base power and does 8/8. Whenever enchanted creature attacks, create a basic colorless island token. Thank God my 6 mana spell is ramping me. What are we doing? Why? Like, I get you're getting a big thing, but it's not like we need more islands when we're at 6 mana. Whatever. Immaculate Influence. Enchanted creature gets +1/+1 whenever Immaculate Influence enters, or enchanted creature deals combat damage to an opponent, draw a card. Okay. Okay. When Ocular Navigator enters, if it was cast, exile target permanent you control, then return it to the battlefield under your control. Okay, and you can pay 1 and a green to return it to your hand. Sure, this doesn't feel green. I don't think green flickers that much. But yeah. Seek times thread. Search your library for a card with orchestrate. Reveal it. Put it into your hand, then shuffle. If this spell wasn't cast from your hand, you may pay 0 instead of the next orchestrate cost you pay this turn. Interesting. Another charm. Untap target permanent. Return it. Untap target permanent. Return to its owner's hand at the beginning of your next end step. From your graveyard. This doesn't... I don't understand that. That version of it just doesn't seem like... Yeah, I mean, what you're going to do is, like, probably ramp... I don't know. What the fuck even is that first mode? I don't get this. Return target permanent you control... Permanent you own to your hand. Okay. Look at the top 3 cards of your library, put one of them in your hand. Okay, that's the only good mode on this. This card, I don't understand. This card seems like weird in a way that someone's going to find a way to break it, but otherwise it's just bad. Yeah, this returning to your hand after you untap a permanent. I imagine the only thing you're going to be untapping is something that, like, something insane. And you're just going to want to do that every turn. Even on your opponent's turn. Because you can go untap, untap. So just like if you get a murder guy, like a tap murder, a murder guy. Wow, Nathan. Tap destroy target creature or dink your opponent for a bunch of damage. It feels like this is potentially asking to be broken in a way that I don't really like. In a way that so many decks just cannot interact with. Besides removing the permanent that you're untapping, but you're always going to have this in your hand. unless they're able to exile it from your graveyard. Which, even then, I don't know, because it just says you return it, so maybe that doesn't work. That's just, yeah. Okay. More Wild Hunt. When it enters or leaves, if you begin the Wild Hunt, choose up to 4 target cards in a single graveyard. Their owners. Okay, so let me get this straight. You're not only, okay, first off, 3-1 on a blue card, not okay. Blue does not get more power than its mana cost. Does not get to go above rate like that. Secondly, if you achieve Wild Hunt, which is like sort of a late game thing, your reward is graveyard hosing. So this isn't even like a consistent. I don't know. This card fucking annoys me beyond what is reasonable, because what you have done. Why is this an elemental pirate? This is a dude. This is just a guy. Why is this an elemental? Whatever. I'm getting worked up. But man, this card is it hurts me personally. Storm, Daunt, Swashbuckler, Orchestrate. When it enters, draw a card for each spell you've cast this turn. Okay, that's fine. It's always going to draw you at least one card. So, yeah, I mean, this card's cool. Yeah, I mean, it's fine. Fenori Sharpshooters. 3/3, Ward 2. When it enters, you may return target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. Okay, I mean, it's a little bit above rate for what we expect out of Mana War type effects, but I mean, this is fine. Yeah, I mean, it works very well with a lot of self-bouncing stuff that you have. Wave Parting Walk. Counter target creature or enchantment spell. Okay. If that spell is countered this way, you may exile a creature or enchantment you control, then return to the... So, counter a creature or enchantment and then flicker. That's cool. Abyssal Charm. Choose one. Destroy target creature with power 2 or less. Okay. Return target creature or creature blocker from your graveyard to your hand. Okay. And then you gain 2 life for each creature that died this turn. This is the first one that I like. I still think the last mode is way too niche. And weirdly specific. But it is also like something you're going to have to keep track of if this is in your deck. Because you just might like, oh wait, shit, how many things died? I mean, you can just look back on cockatrice. But it's like, that's annoying. But I like the first 2 modes here. Feels reasonably, reasonably costed. Search your library for a card, put it into your graveyard, then shuffle. If the spell wasn't cast from your hand, put that card in your hand instead of your graveyard. So this gets to be Entomb, good card for 2 mana, or Diabolic Tutor, if you orchestrate it, which is like fine. Yeah, I mean, no one's orchestrating this. Yeah, absolutely no one's orchestrating this. Everyone is going to use this as a 2 mana Entomb, which, I mean, Reanimator will be. So if you like Reanimator, hey, this is the card. I do actually want an Entomb in MSEM. I think that it would make a lot of interesting weird decks possible. What the fuck? Sorry. I just got sent to the Shadow Realm. Why are we not sorting by rarity anymore? Hello? Weird. Anyways, enough yapping. Ancestors do. Exile 3 cards from your graveyard. You gain 1 life and draw a card. Okay. Yeah, that's fine. Sure. Blood Vortex Hand. We gotta fucking hurry. It's already like an hour. Blood Vortex Hand. Big ass aura. Not gonna be constructed playable. From your hand, shuffle it into your library, destroy target creature, you lose life equal to its mana value. Very weird. It's fine. It's cool. First strike. Whenever another non-target creature enters under your control, if it wasn't cast from your hand, put 2+1/+1 counters on it. Very strong. Very, very strong. Death Knight Scythe. When it enters under your control, if it wasn't cast from your hand, you may attach it. Okay. Okay. So whenever a creature enters, you can attach it if it entered illegally. Ghost Namer, when it enters, mill 2 cards. Exile it. Return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. It gains indestructible until end of turn. That's fine. I think like some amount of reanimation decks would play something like this. Could play something like this. I don't really think it's that strong. Return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. At the beginning of your next upkeep, sacrifice it unless you play 1 and a green. Why are we making a 4-mana reanimate have this much downside? Laughing Wounds form. Might 1. When Laughing Wounds form enters, it deals damage equal to your might to target opponent. That player. Okay, so this is like actually a reasonable thing because you're on rate discarding a card for 1 mana. And then you also just get the ability to potentially hit them in the face for like 6 damage. But also, yeah, this is a good might card, I think. Very cool. Sacrifice an enchantment. It gains first strike until end of turn. Whenever a creature dealt damage by it dies, return target enchantment card from your graveyard to your hand. Okay, I like how this plays. Especially if you've got a lot of things that do things when they enter. Like Laughing Wounds form. Shape the Labyrinth. Draw 2, lose 2. If it wasn't cast from your hand, exile it and untap each land you control. Scary. This is scary. This is a storm thing. This doesn't say if it was orchestrated. But here's what you do. You don't orchestrate this card ever. You just play Reckless Impulse. And then suddenly you pay 3 mana to untap all your lands. Ah! Why? Anyways. Shaper of Flesh. Flying Lifelink. You can orchestrate it for that. That's fine. You're never paying 9 mana for this. You're paying 6 mana and 6 life. Almost certainly. Well, no, this seems really underrated, actually. Because no one's paying 9 mana for a 6/6 Flying Lifelink. But I guess it's uncommon, and big Lifelink is scary. So, that's fair. Soulsteel Churgeon. At the beginning of your end step, if you didn't cast a spell this turn, you may return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. I don't like this. This encourages you to not play the game. You just sit there with this, but it's also not a constructed card. So we're going to move on. Shurkai. It attacks each turn of Able. Gains hexproof until end of turn. Activate this only if you've begun the Wild Hunt. Okay. It's a weird. It's a jackal pup kind of. It's not a jackal pup, but it's a 1 mana 2/1, so it's okay. Decadent Dragonboard. Creatures you control have Defender. What the fuck? Why? This is such a. Oh my god! This is such a fucking unfun card. Holy shit, you just play this, you're controlling probably enchantments cost 2 less, but you can't fucking attack. So you have to like slowly ping your opponent to death. Why? Why does this card exist? This card leads to the worst. It's not even like you're getting a discount on creatures. You don't care if you're playing this card probably. You're probably just playing enchantments. But this thing just can't attack. So this card encourages you to build a deck where you do not actively contribute to the board, and you just kind of like wait until your enchantments, until you draw the right enchantment to kill your opponent, and then no, this card is does not feel flavorfully red. Like I guess it's like art and like jolly or whatever, but. No, I do not like Decadent Dragonboard at all. No, not at all. No bueno. Duelist Contemplation. Up to 1 target creature an opponent controls blocks an enchanted creature this turn of Able. Up to 1 target creature an opponent controls blocks an equipped creature this turn of Able. Untap those creatures. Okay, yeah, I mean, you can afford, yeah, sure, Fine. Pretty bad if you don't have well, I mean, you can untap 2 creatures. Actually, no, because you can use this to just untap two of your creatures in red. So, I don't know. This is like, oh, you give your 2 red creatures vigilance for a red mana, just this turn. I don't know. That seems weird. Earth Dragon Style, Might 2. When it enters, target creature you control gets plus X plus O and gains first strike until end of turn, where X is your might. At the beginning of your end step, you may pay black. If you do, draw a card and lose a life. Okay. Okay, so it contributes to your might, then becomes a bad Phyrexian Arena, and then also buffs a creature 1 time. Fine. Whatever. Enchanted creature gets plus 2 plus 0. When it's put into a graveyard from the battlefield, return it to it. This is just Rancor. We're just doing Rancor again. We already have one of these that does this effect in like a different color. But fine. It's fine. Flamestaff Innovator. Flamestaff gets plus X plus O until end of turn. Well, X is the number of enchantments you control. And you can do this 6 billion times if you want. I swing. You don't block. I pay 6 mana and get plus 12 plus 12. Thank you. This is potentially problematic. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. It being 3 mana makes it like not super playable, but also, yeah. I mean, this is not being sorcery speed, not being capped. Very dangerous. House Minio Paragons. Shikari, when you attack, Wild Hunt. Target creature can't block this turn. Activate only if it's attacking and you've begun the Wild Hunt. Oh, and it's not limited per turn, so you just pay like however much you want. Remove that many creatures from the equation. I mean, it's fine. It's being a 4 mana 5/2 is kind of funny, but invoke the Molten Kraken. Choose one. When you cast your next spell this turn, choose the other. What the fuck? Okay. Destroy up to 1 target non-basic land. And then it deals 4 damage to any target. Fine. That's whatever. Sure. Loyalty's Reward. Create a token that's a copy of target non-creature artifact or enchantment you control. Exile at the beginning of the next end step. So, target non-creature. So, I mean, you just flicker one of your might things, I think, is the intention with this. Pussy Salvage Sense. Yeah, we're going to stick to that's how it's pronounced. Whenever you cast this spell or another non-creature spell, search your library for a mountain card and put it into your hand, then shuffle. You can exile it and then return X target non-creature, non-land card from your graveyard to the battle. From your graveyard to your hand. Sure, I guess. Seems... Yeah, I mean, red gets lands, I guess. Sure. At the beginning of your upkeep, exile the top card of your library. If it's an artifact or enchantment card, you can cast it this turn. I kind of fuck with this. This is cool. When it enters, add or an equipment. Okay. I mean, it's fine. It's just like, yeah. Sure. You're going to equip this person up with a lot of stuff. Tempest Gormal. Gets big buff. Whenever an equipped creature does combat damage to an opponent, if you've begun the Wild Hunt, you may pay blue if you do a draw. So, what I don't like about these designs is not only do you have to be in a different color, you also have had to have gotten the Wild Hunt. I don't know. It seems like you have to do 2 things very specifically, and this is a very bad card unless you're in specifically the Wild Hunt red-blue deck, which I don't even know, like, based on the blue cards I've seen, I guess that is the thing. I guess Wild Hunt is in blue, but it's just like, I don't know, it's very specific. But also, just being 1 in a red for +3/+0 with equip 2 is good. So, yeah. Alright, we got the red charm. Attach target equipment to target creature. Cool. If a source you control would deal damage this turn, instead it deals that much damage +1. Cool. Create 2 guys. Sure. This is the most normal one. The 1/1 mode is the best mode, but each of these, can win you the game or be something. Especially attaching something at instant speed You're like, swing in. Okay, I don't block your 1/1. I attach my Ambercleave. Well, not Ambercleave, but yeah. Being able to attach an equipment at instant speed. Relevant. Gives Hammer Time vibes. This is actually kind of exciting. This is my favorite card I've seen so far. Is Terrestrial Charm. Twin Blade Hunter. If it's your turn and you've begun the Wild Hunt, it has double strike. Sure. Trample, Haste, big guy. Protection from mana value 2 or less. That's fine. Echoes of the Elders. Whenever one or more land cards are put into your graveyard from anywhere for the first time each turn, but a +1/+1 counter on it, you can remove a counter to add a... So what you have done is you've made a effective mana dork in any deck with fetch lands, as well as also made it a big growing threat. Scary. This card I don't think is chill with fetch lands. But maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. This card definitely seems strong. Enlightened Mentor. At the beginning of your upkeep, return a non-land card you control to its owner's hand. Wait, at the beginning of your upkeep, return a non-land permanent card you control to its owner's hand. This is bad with, like, loopable things. You just loop something, and this has Ward 3, which I'm not a fan of. This doesn't need to have Ward 3. It's already doing a fucking crazy thing where you just... Yeah, you return just a thing that can loop itself if it sacks itself. Lessons in Blood. Return target creature you control to its owner's... Target creature you control to its owner's hand. Create X weapon tokens where X is its power. You may attach them to another creature you control. Sure, that feels green enough. Lunar Charm. Return target land card from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. Okay. Target attacking creature you control fights another target creature. Okay. Copy target trigger ability you control. I mean, this is fine. All these modes are good and playable in the right deck. So, yeah, this is good. I like this charm. Reavers, whatever. Well, a crypt creature gets +3/+3. Whenever a creature with mana value 5 or greater enters under your control, attach it to it. It gains haste until end of turn. Very, very scary. This is a pretty strong card. You can just get, like, some big-ass guys and then swing in for, like, what? Like 9 damage the turn it comes into play. Very cool. Silver General's Foresight. Enchant creature. When enchanted creature attack, creatures you control get +4/+4 until end of turn. It's like you need to have an aura deck, but then you've put 5 mana into this thing that you can just potentially get really 2-for-1 with. Dangerous. Dangerous and scary if your opponent has instant speed removal. But it's fine. It's 6 mana. It's not going to see constructed play. Whenever it enters or another god enters on your control, reveal the top 2 cards of your library. Put 1 permanent card from among them into your hand and the rest into your graveyard. Very cool. 5 mana, probably not that good. Wood Dragon Hunt Caller. Okay, if you begin your end step, if you begin the Wild Hunt, make a 1/1 with lifelink. Sure, I guess. Yeah, I mean, green lifelink is a thing that people debate, but this is fine to me. I don't know. But also just having a 2/2 that makes a guy every turn if you've completed the thing. This one's fine. This one feels like a normal Wild Hunt design to me. Whenever a crypt creature attacks, you may pay 1 life and make a 1/1 that's tapped and attacking. Seems bad. Ancient Observer, flying when it enters, draw a card. Seems chill for limited. A crypt creature gets +0/+3 and has tab, add 1 mana of any color. And then you can pay Wooburg to put 5 counters on a equipped creature. I feel like this is a little bit... Some of these things are overcosted. I mean, I guess just giving it extra toughness is fine. But, yeah. Reveal the top card of your library, then draw a card. If you revealed an artifact or enchantment card this way, draw 2 cards instead. Wow, that's 5 mana. I mean, it's fine if you need it in limited, but also that's not going to be constructed relevant, I don't think. Skycutter Boomerang. Whenever a equipped creature attacks and isn't blocked, you may attach it. You may unattach Skycutter Boomerang. If you do, it deals 1 damage to any target. Okay. And then, if a creature dealt damage by Skycutter Boomerang die this turn, it has equip 0. This seems janky and bad. Sleeping Sentinel's Idol. 2 mana. Okay. Activate only if you control 3 or more lands that share a subtype. So if you are a monocolor, this is a thing. And then it can become a 2/2 god until end of turn. Okay. So these are type lands that can enter untapped if an opponent draws a card. Probably never worth it. I mean, these aren't broken, but it's probably never worth it to be like, I'm going to have you go up a card so that I can have a small tempo advantage. Unless you're literally winning the game that turn and you need that tempo or something. Or you're setting up something or like mana screwing your opponent somehow. I don't know. You almost never give your opponent a card with these lands. So they're basically tap lands for the most part. All right, now we're on to the fun cards, the rares. This is already over an hour and a half. Yippee. Flash, Might 1. When it enters, the next X damage that would be dealt to you and or permanents you control is dealt to any target instead. Or X is your might. So if you have a really high might, you can just flash this in and then dome your opponent for like 7. But this is really bad early. You can redirect a single damage. And I mean, this is fine, actually. You can save a thing, kill something. If they both are like 1 toughness. Or 1 toughness away from dying. Choose target creature, destroy the rest. Then that creature's base power and toughness becomes 1. Just kill it. I don't know. I get its flavor. I mean, if you want to keep like an important ability on the board, this is actually pretty good. Sorry, I take it back. This is interesting. But it's 5 mana. I don't think it'll see play because most board wipe decks just don't really have that many relevant creatures. Godra on Gilded Wings. Exile target creature an opponent controls and put a reincarnation counter on it. It gains spells you cast with the same name as this card cost 4 less to cast. Exile target creature an opponent controls and put a reincarnation counter on it. Wait, so I exile my opponent's thing. Then if they want to cast it again, it costs 4 less. Kind of seems not worth it. I don't know. I mean, it's fine. It's probably not going to be relevant, but if it is, then it just kind of sucks that they just get to play it for like however much mana it is. Haunted Blade Master. Yeah, this is not, I don't know, Asian looking. This is not consistent with the aesthetic. I don't think. There isn't an aesthetic, so I don't know what it's consistent with. Haunted Blade Master, Ward 4, non-creature permanent you control have Ward 1. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, make a spirit. That's fine. Myriad Prophet. When it enters, make a 2/2 god. For each creature you own in exile and in your graveyard, gods you control have lifelink. So, if this is relevant, this is relevant in like a Reanimate Dredge deck, where it's like, oh, I milled this and 20 other creatures. I'm going to play this and have a massive fucking board. Seems potentially problematic, but what do I know? Ori Column Juggernaut. When it enters, you can attach an equipment you control to it. You may put an equipment card with mana value 4 or less from your hand onto the battlefield. Or his straight 1 and a white. Yeah, I like this card. I like a lot of the Hammer Time stuff in this set. It's trying to do it in a more fair way than it's done in like Modern, but it really does have some pretty cool equipment cards. That's something that I really do like about this set is their auras, not so much, but their equipment seem really, really cool, and the equipment enablers seem pretty cool. Perfected Daka Eve, whatever. If enchanted creature would deal less than 3 damage to a permanent or player, it deals 3 damage instead. Wow. If a source would deal more than 3 damage to a creature, it deals 3 damage instead. Why is this an equipment? Oh, if equipped creature would deal less than. To equipped creature. Okay. This is weird. I guess you can give it to a dork and it's fine. But yeah, this is odd. Yeah, this is certainly odd. Sunfire in Wait, this you give this to a pinger, and then they're pinging someone for 3. The Dakaleave. So this is scary. You throw this on like a guy that's like, whenever you cast a non-creature spell or do something trivial, deal 1 damage to each opponent. It's like, no, deal 3 damage to each opponent. So that's how you would break this. Sunfire, whatever. Enters or attacks, exile up to 1 target card from a graveyard and put an arrow counter on it. Remove an arrow counter from a card an opponent owns in exile. It gets bigger. Okay. Fine. That's chill. Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with this. I mean, it has flash. Yeah, I mean, this is maybe like an interesting sort of like white take on the like sacrificial bull, but I don't think it's super crazy. Young old daughter of whatever. This girly pop. A 2/2 indestructible. Whenever a creature dealt damage by it, this turn dies. Put a +1/+1 counter on her, and she can't attack or block unless you pay X, where X is her power. I mean, it's still a 2/2 indestructible. I don't know. Because it can't attack or block. Weird. Weird. Immediately set off a lot of red flags, but the downside is big enough that I don't even think it's good. I think it's bad. Pretty actively. Anything. Soyoris Blade. Whenever an equipped creature becomes the target of a spell, you may exile that creature until it leaves the battlefield. Okay. Shuffle it into your library, then draw a card. You put a card named. Wait, when it becomes whenever a equipped creature becomes the target of a spell, you may exile that creature until it leaves the. Okay, so basically you can just like. Yeah, this is a weird card, but I get what it's trying to do here. You just. Ward, skip your untap step. Wow, cool. Whenever it deals damage to a player, untap target permanent. Sure, that's blue ramp. Oria, Far From Home. Whenever you cast a spell or activate an ability for 0 or without paying its mana cost for the first time each turn, put a loyalty counter on it. So you put a stun counter. That's a weird payoff. You just like whenever you do something for free. I guess it's like an orchestrate thing. That makes sense. Put a stun counter on target permanent. Reveal the top X cards of your library. An opponent separates them into 2 piles. Put 1 pile in your hand and the other into your graveyard. Sure. Girly Pop is popping off. Pillars of Reality. Counter target spell if no colored mana was spent to cast it. Yeah, this counters a lot of orchestrate stuff. This is a decent sideboard card. Potentially just having the ability to counter something. Or, stop people from free casting. Yeah, I mean, this is fine. Sorcerer Savant. Whenever it enters, target player puts their graveyard onto the bottom of their library in a random order. Okay. It can't be blocked unless defending player plays 3 for each creature blocking it. Sure. This is like a blue endurance. So, there it is. And it's hard to block. Target player returns each creature they own to their hand. To their hand. I think Sorcerer Savant actually does have a lot of playability. Just being able to be so evasive. It is a good body. And it has a reasonable thing. And it interacts with a lot of like decks in a real way. The Zoe Fleet Crushed. Whenever a player returns a creature target player returns each creature they own to their hand. They own, not they control. So if you Weird. If you've begun the Wild Hunt, you may have each player shuffle their hand into their library, then draw cards. Even with the greatest number. So, okay. That's fine. That's cool. Commander card, really. The Crimson Pentacle Blades. Might 2. When it enters, each player loses life equal to your might. So we have the same thing again. Wait, hold on. This is a rare. I mean, I guess it's just 2 damage. This card is bad. The Crimson Pentacle Blades is bad based on other cards that we've seen. Whatever. Whenever this guy attacks, you may put a counter on it. When you do, you pay blank. You pay X in black, where X is the number of counters on it. If you do, search your library for enchantment card with value X and put it onto the battlefield and shuffle. There's a lot of really good cheap enchantments. This is dangerous. But also probably fine. Target player reveals their hand. You may exile a legendary card from it. If you don't, that player discards a card and loses 1 life. This is a Thoughtseize in a way that is potentially cringe. Because there's a lot of good legendary stuff. And, I mean, this is fine. What am I kidding? Who am I kidding? This is fine. It's just like... Yeah, I mean, this hoses a very specific type of deck. Whenever a equipped creature becomes blocked, defending player loses 3... Oh, this hitting legendary lands, though, is kind of cringe. Whenever a equipped creature becomes blocked, defending player loses 3 life. Exile 7 cards from your graveyard. Return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. Attached to Labyrinth Court. Okay. Sure, this is fine. Nameless Antihero, Orchestrate. When it enters, exile the top 3 cards of your opponent's library. If Nameless Antihero was cast from exile, put 2 of those cards on the bottom of their library in a random order. It wasn't cast from exile. You may play each card exiled with it as long as it remains exiled in mana. Okay. Cool. Welcome back, Gonti. Oh, but it's 2 mana Gonti, which is kind of scary, but it's also not like a reason. It's like it's like not on an insane body. The Lion Forsaken. I mean, flickering this is fucking kind of crazy. The Lion Forsaken, once during each of your turns, while you have more life than each opponent, you may cast an enchantment spell from your graveyard by paying life equal to its mana cost rather than paying its mana cost. When the Lion Forsaken dies, shuffle it and any number of enchantment cards. Okay, so if you just play like some cheap life game stuff and then like dredge, you play the Lion Forsaken and then you find like a 9 mana enchantment, you play that for 9 life, and then you pop off. Veil of Night. Until end of turn, enchantments you control gain. Pay a life, sacrifice this enchantment, draw a card. That's an instant. This card seems bad. This does not seem good. Because it's like, this card does not seem good. Burning Soul Prana. Or another spell, exile the top card of your library. You have played until the end of your next turn. Whenever you play a card from exile, enchanted creature, it's +2/+0 until end of turn. This is fine. Yeah, this is so chill. It's an aura, so it's automatically got some swinginess to it. Whenever you cast a spell from exile the top card of your library, then you may put an aim counter on it. You may play that card this turn. So this just loops with itself. And then you deal 40 damage to target player. If you do that 10 times. Seems weird and swingy and potentially bad. Denouncer Athema. Create a red aura named whatever. It has enchant creature, and enchanted creature has haste and can't block. Its ability costs 2 less to activate. So you can give your things haste, or you can turn off blockers. That's interesting. Face your demons. Discard your hand, then draw 3 cards. If you spent WILDCARD to cast this, you may cast any number of cards drawn this way without paying their mana cost. This is bad. Problematic. This is this is crazy. You get to WILDCARD, you play this. What the balls? I didn't do anything. Why? Why did it do that? But yeah, no, this is not chill. Not cool. Not okay. Banned. Mastery of Earth. Enchant Mountain. It's a red soldier land and has haste. It's still a land. Okay. When it dies, make a wastes. Okay. That's something. I mean, it's pretty slow because you're turning a land into a 3/3 and then you lose tempo because of that. Makuhara, I'm not even going to try that last name. Cicatrice. Okay. Flash. When it enters, copy target instant or sorcery spell you control. You may choose new targets for the copy. Well, you do this with a flicker, and then you have infinite ETBs. So, just, you know, what I was thinking. I'm going to target this. Enter. Oh. But I mean, there's also like weird ways where you have to do that. You have to target something else. You cast this. You enter, copy it, target itself, flicker it a billion times. Profit. Yeah. Sacrifice another non-land permanent exile. And the top of your library. You play those cards this turn. Sure. Ruination Posse. When Ruination Posse enters, if you cast it from your hand, it deals damage equal to your might to each creature each player sacrifices. So this is not you are basically going like, oh, I get high might. Now I'm going to just obliterate everything. All the creatures, all the lands. Not cool. Why is this video 2 hours long? When opponent enters under your control, you may untap target creature an opponent controls and gain control of it until end of turn. And each creature you control gains haste until end of turn. That's fine. It's 4 mana. I don't think it's going to be that crazy. 4 mana you're competing with a lot. Horizon God, what is this? Sure. When it enters or dies, when it dies or a spell or ability an opponent controls causes you to discard him, at the beginning of your opponent's next upkeep, return him to your hand unless an opponent plays 4. At the beginning of your end step, return target land card from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. I mean, that's fine. House Pila Aesthetic. Flash. When it enters, spells can be countered this turn. As long as you begin the Wild Hunt, your opponents can't cast spells during your turn. That's fine. Penelope Collector. Enters with a +1/+1 counter on it for each mana spent to cast it. When Penelope Collector enters, reveal the top X cards of your library. You may put each aura, with mana value X, or among them onto the battlefield attached to Penelope Collector. Put the rest into your graveyard. Cool. This seems a bit pricey, but if you have... yeah, this seems fine. Shared Reminiscence. Return up to 2 cards from your graveyard to your hand. Put Shared Reminiscence on the bottom of your library. Cards from your graveyard. Okay. Sure, that's fine. Silver Faction Navigator. If Silver Faction Navigator enters, return target land card from your graveyard to the battlefield. It becomes an 8/8 land. I mean, you can flicker this. That's pretty scary. Okay, we got a Human Artificer. Whenever you cast a spell for an alternative cost, you get a keystone artifact with tap it, you gain a life. So that's a lot of consistent life gain. Sacrifice 7 keystones. You may cast spells without paying their mana costs forever. Wow. Whenever you cast a spell for an alternative cost. That does not trigger off of Orchestrate, if I'm not mistaken. Right, so I don't understand how you're supposed to use this card. There's not a lot of alternative cost things in this set, unless I'm missing something. So, yeah, this card just kind of seems bad and limited, potentially broken in... Yeah, just being able to cast spells without paying their mana costs indefinitely. You should at least make an emblem. That's my hot take. You should at least make an emblem so that we don't forget. Admiral Zhao. Deals combat damage to an opponent. Search your library for an artifact card. Reveal it, put it into your hand, and shuffle. So it enters, you find an artifact. Probably an equipment. Because it's a 1/4 with double strike. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may exile target creature card from your graveyard. If you do, create a token that's a copy of that card. Exile it at the beginning of the next end step. Okay. Okay, so weird flicker shenanigans. Cutthroat politics. Aura. You enchant opponent. It's not a curse, though, which is weird. Enchanted player reveals their hand. We choose a non-land card from it and exile it. When an enchanted player casts a spell with the same name as the exiled card, it deals 4 damage to them. Interesting. Firestorm. It deals X damage to each creature that is an enchanted, equipped, or an elemental. Okay, that's chill. It's kind of bad, actually. Yeah, it seems kind of below rate. It seems like you're just going to be paying like... You mean Access 2 is 2 damage to everything, and that's not... That's Pyroclasm. Yeah, I don't know. This card maybe seems like a commander thing. When Death rides on Cruel Hooves, enter. Wow, what a name. Destroy up to 1 target creature's mana value 2 or less. Exile it from your graveyard or the battlefield. Put target creature card from your graveyard onto the battlefield, tapped under your control. So, removal plus reanimate. That's fine. Eternal Puppet Strings. Gain control of target creature if its mana value is 2 or less. If you didn't cast Puppet Strings from your hand, instead gain control of that creature. Okay. Okay, I mean, that's chill. That's fine. Fallen Wolf of the West. Fallen Wolf of the West can be blocked by creatures with power less than or equal to the number of cards in your graveyard. Whenever Fallen Wolf of the West enters or attacks, you may exile target non-land card from your graveyard. If you do, when you next resolve a spell, cast a copy. I can't even process what this card does, but it's 3 pips and 5 mana, so I think it's fine. When you do... Yeah, I think this is fine. It has 1 toughness. You can just kind of get spit on and die. Geomantic Disruption. This spell can be countered. Enchant non-land permanent. Okay. Enchanted permanent has, at the beginning of your upkeep, you may pay 1. If you don't, exile this permanent and it deals 3 damage to you. This seems bad because they can just choose to keep it around, and you like. Yeah, I don't think. I think this card gives your opponents too much ability to like play around it. Golden Antler. Whenever it attacks, create a 1/1 lifelink guy. Whenever 2 or more creatures you control attack, exile the top card of your library. You gain life equal to its mana value. You may play that card this turn. Interesting. I don't think it's that good. I don't even think they, I don't even think they see play in like assemble the party decks. Heaven Turning Calculations. Whenever you cast a second spell on an opponent's turn, draw a card. When you do, put a +1/+1 counter on up to 1 target creature you control. You cast your second spell during an opponent's turn exclusively, though. I mean, it's fine. I'm not a huge fan of it though. These kind of decks are just kind of like. I mean, I don't know what target creature. It means you have to have a creature. Somebody's doing something. But yeah. Heaven Lights Unbound. My goodness, what a name. Vigilance Reach. Exile X creatures cards from your graveyard. Exile target creature with mana value X. Activate only if has dealt damage to that creature's controller this turn. X cannot be 0. Interesting. I mean, that's repeatable removal, which is very good. First strike haste when it attacks. Up to one target creature an opponent controls blocks for this turn if able. This seems bad. Why is this a 3-mana 2/1? First strike haste is not. No, this card could easily be a 3/3. I don't see why it's not. Master of 5. Whenever you cast a spell that targets Master of 5, copy it. If you've begun the Wild Hunt, copy it 4 times instead. Wow. Okay. Yeesh, that's a lot. Excuse me. Okay, Wild Hunt. Whenever a permanent you control becomes the target of a spell or ability your opponent controls, you've gone the Wild Hunt. This deals 3 damage to any target. Yeah, I mean that's fine. Raven Eyes Tempest, Death Touch. Enchantments you control have Death Touch. If a permanent dealt damage by a source you control would die, you may exile it instead. Pronounce your name. Chosen of Journeys. Each other non-token permanent you control that entered this turn is a land in addition to its other types and has tap, add 1 mana of any color. Sure. You may activate ability of land creatures you control as though they had haste. Sure. Sure. Someone Else's Destiny. Counter targets instant sorcery or aura spell. If that spell is countered this way, you may exile it and choose a creature you control. When that creature leaves the battlefield, you may cast the exiled card without paying its mana cost. You may exile it and choose a creature you control. So you get sort of like a bad negate, but you get it if one of your creature dies. This feels odd. I'm not necessarily opposed to it. I don't really. It's so like. I mean, if you're running like an aristocrat style deck, this is probably fine. But you kind of have to be in also black for this to work. But I mean, it's fine. You just like attach this to a dork, and then your opponent can't swing because you're gonna chump block and get like their spell. Kind of weird, kind of cringe. I don't really fuck with it that much. Death Touch Indestructible. Whenever a player casts a spell, you and that player each create a 1/1 colorless spirit creature token. Wait, hold on. Why? Why am I paying 8 mana for a 6/6 Death Touch Indestructible that just says whenever anyone casts a spell... Oh, you and that player. So, if I'm casting a spell, I'm getting 2 spirits. If my opponent's casting a spell, they're getting a spirit, I'm getting a spirit. Right. If you cast it, create both. Okay, I guess that's fine. It's still a little pricey. Probably not going to be seeing play. Much worse than, like any other reanimation thing. Vandre, Dread Guardian. Whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, create a 1/1 black skeleton creature token. If it had power 4 greater, put 2 counters on it. An opponent controls dies. Okay. Deals 1 damage to any target and you gain 1 life. Okay, that can trigger this. And then you get an emblem with creatures you control have indestructible. I don't know if that's worth -6ing it. I'm not going to lie. This passive is really strong. I think I'd probably rather have that than, you know. I guess Amaria is good, but like Avacyn is good, but Avacyn is also good because 8/8 flyer. Um, yeah, I don't think I'm ever -6ing this. Godmother's Gift. Whenever you discard a card, you may exile it from your graveyard until Godmother's Gift leaves the battlefield. A crypt creature gets +X/+X, where X is the number of types among cards exiled with. What the fuck was that? Hello? Where X is the number of card types exiled with Godmother's Gifts. Equip, discard a card. Okay, sure. Fine. Yeah. I mean, that's cool, I guess. Yeah. Magnasius Titan Slayer. Tap, discard a card. Search your library for a basic land card. Reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle. As long as you control 7 or more lands, Magnasius has equipped 2, and equipped creature gets +7/+7. That's fine. That's cool. Yeah, that's fine. It's a little bit like, yeah, no, this is fine. I think this is cool. I think this is fine. I'm going to say that 7 trillion times. All right. Tomb. Add a colorless. Sacrifice it at the beginning of your next upkeep. An opponent may pay 1. If no one does, draw 2 cards. Sack it at the beginning of your next upkeep. So at your opponent's end step, I sack this and draw 2 cards. If my opponent tapped down. Fuck that. What the hell is this? I don't understand why this also has a watermark on it, but no, fuck that. Absolutely not. That's so cringe that I'm just going to sack this and draw 2 cards because you played mana efficiently. Like, no. No, that's not. Yeah, I'm not going to. That's not. This card is not cool. You shouldn't be able to sack a land to draw 2 cards, and then your opponent basically just has to play around this. So they can't tap you down because you might just sack your land and draw 2 cards. So not a fan of this card. Gates of Battle. Add colorless. Add 1 mana of any color among artifacts you control. Fine, I guess. Sacrifice it, search your library for an equipment card, reveal it, put it in your hand. I mean, equipment decks will fucking love this, but I don't think everyone else will. Oh, no, let's see about those goddamn mythics. No mythics. No mythic set. Okay. Alright. So, if you're just chilling here so that someone else will fucking look at these cards for you, this is where you click off. Overall, I think, I don't know. I don't really like this set. I think that there's a lot of really cool ideas. I don't like Might and Wild Hunt being, I'm not calling it whatever the fuck the other name is. What was it? I'll find it. Good lord. Shikari and Might are both sort of parasitic mechanics, and I feel like you should only really have one of those in a set. And we got 2, and I don't really like Might. I think Might is a problematic mechanic that is parasitic in a lot of the ways that energy is parasitic, where the only way you're going to be making a Might deck is exclusively with land cards from this deck. But if you make, like, even Wild Hunt is better because it's just, some things get better if you're doing, like, one of those in artifact enchantment weird Concord decks, which, you know, has a precedent in this format. So I like Shikari much more than I like Might. But a lot of these cards feel pushed. I don't think the aesthetic is consistent. A lot of these cards seem breakable. I wish that there were a lot of more cards that had cast clauses for their enters the battlefield. A lot of the stuff that like returns things from graveyards, I feel should be harder to get. The rares felt fine. There were a few things that stood out as potentially broken. Face Your Dream Demons, I don't think is okay at all. Um, yeah, I don't think Face Your Demons is at all okay. Just being able to, well, I guess drawn this way. I don't know. This card just doesn't seem like it to me personally. There's a handful of other things that concern me, um, but not really in the rares. Believe it or not, a lot of them are from the uncommons, which are like the might thing. The might things seem to be either potentially horrid or broken. Specifically for me, this card doesn't work for me at all. You can't make this is just like blues should not be making 3/1s. Blues should not be making 3/1s. I don't think they should be. Um, Especially not one that like the Wild Hunt payoff is so niche and specific. Abyssal Tutor is something I was excited for, although a lot like 2 out of the 5 charms I liked. The other 2 I'm kind of like very meh on. Um, yeah, there were a handful of things that seemed either really undertuned. Fucking Decadent Dragonborn should not be a thing. Um, yeah, I still have a lot of concerns about this set, um, and the type of decks that would exist if this set got into the format. Um, I'm not personally feeling this set, but I get if it's your thing. There are a lot of cool things to be got from this. I also just find the flavor to be inconsistent, um, and not not really all there for me. It feels like you're trying to go for sort of an Asian aesthetic, sort of a like imperial Japanese sort of aesthetic, martial arts type thing. But then you have cards like these where I guess this is on brand, um, but there are just like a handful of like this feels Nordic. This does not feel Japanese, or this doesn't feel like magic art. Why is there a skull here? Um, there's just a handful of things where it's not really adding up. Like this, for example, doesn't really feel like this. This feels specifically medieval. A lot of the like knight cards seem to be pirates too. Why are we doing like European pirates in a and what feels like it's supposed to be a Japanese inspired or like Japanese aesthetic set? So yeah. Also, why the fuck does she have a lightsaber? I don't understand. There's a lot of red flags in this set for me personally. Um, that I'm not personally a fan. I get why people would like this set. I do really like um, a lot of the hammer time, a lot of the equipment enabling stuff feels fair, feels good, and feels balanced, and would make like sort of an exciting new deck in the format. But there's too many glaring weaknesses that I'm probably not feeling comfortable with it. Oh, also Perfect Evasion is just kind of fucking broken. Um, it but it is just the best protection spell. So I I just worry. I worry about a lot of this. A lot of the things in these set. There's just a handful of red flags. But I do appreciate everyone watching. Um, we're probably gonna go day by day because this took way longer than I fucking expected. So thank you all so much for watching. I'm gonna try to upload this before I leave, but no promises.